Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another gaming video today. So today we're looking at Evil Genius 2, and I wanted to have a quick little conversation about why it's so hard to replicate a lot of breakout turn-of-the-century games. So if you don't know, essentially there was a game called Dungeon Keeper. Dungeon Keeper allowed you to essentially build bases and recruit minions and create a base of operations that was compelling to play as, because the thing is, it is fun to play like a mastermind, right? It's fun to build a base. It's fun to create minions. It's fun to kill other minions in a hands-off kind of way. And the person that came up with the idea for this, gaming style was Peter Molyneux. So Peter Molyneux from Lionhead Studios, he created Black and White. He also created Dungeon Keeper. In both of those games, they were RTSs that essentially allowed you to create dwellings and rooms and bases for your minions, but not control them in a hands-on manner. And so Evil Genius was a turn-of-the-century game, early 21st century, that essentially wanted to recreate that experience, but in a James Bond kind of flavor coding, where, you are the evil genius, right? You are Goldfinger, you are the man with the golden gun, etc. The problem is that the game is somewhat lacking, right? People know that Evil Genius 2 is somewhat it's just kind of lacking. Something about it is just not as compelling as the original, and you could argue that, the experience of the original Dungeon Keeper by Peter Molyneux was never fully recreated for players to experience. There's things I like about Evil Genius 2, there's things I don't like about it, but I think most people agree that it is not as good as the first Evil Genius, and most people will agree that it's not nearly as good as Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2. And that's kind of the discussion topic for today, is there's a lot of turn-of-the-century games that are like that for people. Diablo 2, what is the best Diablo spiritual successor? Well, I would say it's Grim Dawn, but a lot of people might say Path of Exile. A lot of people might say that it is, in fact, Diablo 4. But personally, I would say that it is, I would say that, there might not be a perfect spiritual successor for Diablo 2 that exists. You might just want to play Diablo 2 remastered. Then you have games like System Shock 2 and the original Deus Ex. So those are what we call immersive sims. Thief 1 and 2, Thief 3, that sort of thing. There has not been a perfect spiritual successor for Thief. Or Deus Ex or System Shock 2. So all of these sort of turn-of-the-century titles are exceptionally difficult to recreate. I would say that Evil Genius went from looking like a RTS or a Dungeon Keeper clone to looking like a rezzed-up mobile game, and that's not a compliment. And we have yet to see a proper remaster for System Shock 2. We have yet to see a proper remaster for the original Deus Ex, Warren Spector's Deus Ex. And the thing is, those games are exceptionally hard to recreate because something about that period in the early 21st century, I would even argue, kind of PS2 era video gaming with the likes of like Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, all of those games are hard to create successors for. You might be able to make a remaster if you just, basically up-res elements or copy and paste elements, but creating a sequel or creating a spiritual successor is turning out to be exceptionally hard. And so I wanted to show off Evil Genius 2. I bought it for literally $4 on Steam, and I just wanted it to be an example of this is missing something. One of the things is that it's heavily tutorialized. So you can see here that we've got a little guy in the corner trying to tell me how to play the game, where Dungeon Keeper was never like that. So overly tutorialized, and also not very challenging. As of right now, since I'm still stuck in tutorial mode, I can't actually have my base invaded by Agents of Justice. When in the original Evil Genius, that you would start getting invaded like right off the bat. Like you would have to move your base inside. You'd have to speed build your base, get the amenities up and running, get your minions recruited, and that's kind of where the game was. It wasn't just, oh yeah, take your time, go through the tutorial, build the prettiest base you can, and have fun with it. It was actually a lot of time pressure. And the same thing could be said of like Stronghold Crusader. If you ever played Stronghold Crusader, that is not a fun, casual mobile game. Like that is a hardcore RTS experience. So yeah, that was the discussion topic for this video, is like, why is it that modern game devs can't recreate these sort of turn of the century perfect PC games that we are so used to? Why can't they just build a sequel to Command and Conquer's Generals? Why can't they create a sequel to Company of Heroes? They just can't. They just can't do it. It's almost impossible for them. So whether it is a problem with modern game engines, whether it is a problem with modern game developers, or it is simply a lack of proper documentation and imagination, I don't know. But that's where we're at. This is Eternal King, signing out.